What's up, everyone? Kevin here, aka the Fantasy Football Geek, and I'm here to break down how to use DFS Army tools in Week 5 to make a Fanduel cash or hybrid lineup. Last week I did one for DraftKings and it was really popular and everybody seemed to really like it, so I figured I'd do one for Fanduel this week. Same principle, kind of get a little deeper into strategy. And this week on the Wolfpack podcast, if anybody heard that on DFSArmy.com, I talked a ton about cash strategy and what type of players we look for and targets and upside and things like that. So game flows and all of that. So we went really in depth with that. I hope everybody got a chance to listen to it. But let's jump right over to, I always start with the same thing, Geek's pick sheet, right? If you're a DFS Army member, this is the sheet that I put out every single week with my picks, and I spend a lot of time researching it, compiling all the plays, looking at everything, and trying to condense things down in such a way that it's easier for you guys as DFS Army members to process, to read these notes, to kind of get a sense of what I think of each player. So there's a lot of research that already went into this, and choosing this set of players and the notes that go into it and trying to understand how and where to use these guys. So the first game at quarterback that stands out the most is, of course, the Falcons-Steelers game, 57.5 point total. Team total of 30.25 for the Steelers. I mean, what more can you ask for? Matt Ryan, very similar. A couple other plays I like on the sheet here. Kirk Cousins, hybrid play, but bolded. When I bold a player, that means they're one of my favorites. Mahomes, love him in tournaments because he'll be low owned, but that's about it. Especially on FanDuel where he's a little too expensive. I like him better on DraftKings for cheaper. But Kirk Cousins, one of the cool things I always look for is a rising game total, and that's what this game has. So in general, this game is more of my tournament game. Eagles, Vikings, you have a rising game total. Blake Bortles, everybody's on him. They're facing the Chiefs. Chiefs give up a ton of points. So we'll see what happens there. Derek Carr, another high-scoring potential game, and you can get the quarterback for real cheap. But let's verify this. So next step is I jump over to the DFSArmy.com research station for NFL, and I look at the ratings. QB matchups. Let's do this. All right, we've got, I'm on the DraftKings side. Let's get to FanDuel. Let's get to the FanDuel research station here so we can verify some of this stuff. And it'll give you an idea of what we look for on the DFS Army research station in general. All right, Rocket Arm. Here's the starting point. Rocket Arm is our proprietary DFS Army exclusive rating system for quarterbacks. And if you'll note, Matt Ryan has the highest Rocket Arm rating of any quarterback on the slate, followed by Roethlisberger, Bortles, Alex Smith, who I love, not on this slate, and then some of these other guys that you'll see highlighted, like Carson Wentz. I talked about Kirk Cousins. Let's see where he is. Kirk Cousins, 7.5. So all reasonable. Rivers on the list. Any one of these high rating guys is playable. But that's not enough. So we've added a really cool measure for the, there's a couple of cool measures that you could take a look at that we've added recently or just in general are things that we have. The first thing I always look at is how many points is the opposing defense allowing to the position. So Atlanta allowing 26.1 points per game. It's one of the highest. The only team allowing more, and this is why Matt Ryan's rating is higher, is the Steelers at 31. And then, of course, Saints, this is not on the slate that we're looking at, but we want to look at these matchups first, get a sense of how many points the opposing team is giving up to the quarterback position. We have a second rating that's really cool, and I'm going to show you this one too. It's offense plus defense average yards. So sometimes points per game can be deceptive because touchdowns can affect this number in a significant way, and you can sort this. All right, we want to sort it descending. And in essence, what this number is we take the average yards produced by the offense. We take the average yards given up by the defense. And those two things come together to create this number. The higher it is, the better. And lo and behold, Matt Ryan is number 1, Roethlisberger number 2, Cousins number 3, Carr number 4. Look at this. I want everybody to pay close attention. This just spelled out the top plays on the slate very easily. Boom. It's easy. It's all spelled out. Who are the best players in the best situations? All right, that's the power of the research station. Super cool. So let's start with the quarterback, and I'm going to go, we're going to choose between Matt Ryan and Roethlisberger. The pricing, a little too close for comfort for me. I'm going to go with the home quarterback because I like home teams. Simple as that. Simple as that. I like the home team player. All right. Let's move on to the running back position. Now, again, we have our Geeks pick strategy list. Going to look for core plays. In my cash lineup, I want running backs that will have unlimited potential for touches. Regardless of the game flow, I want guys who are going to get 20 plus carries every single game. I don't care what's happening. Are we winning? Am I losing? Am I behind? Am I ahead? We've got a few guys like that. We've got Gurley. We've got Gordon. McCaffrey. All core plays this week. Top cash plays. David Johnson. Little savings of funds. Little sketchy. Hasn't done it, but he hasn't been terrible. He's getting you 15, 16 points a week anyway. I like David Johnson to save some funds over maybe one of these other guys if you can't afford him or you want to get a stud wide receiver in your lineup. Mixon, kind of putting him down now to a hybrid play. We heard that the coach is not planning on running him too much, etc., etc. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with Mixon. Yeldon will be chalk this week with Fournette out. I'm not a big Yeldon believer. He's here. He's got to be on the list. He's going to be the chalk. Everybody's going to have him. A lot of people are going to use him. But for me, I'm a little nervous with Yeldon. A little nervous. Every time he started, he's disappointed me. Could be different this time. I believe it will be. But I'm not playing him in my cash lineup if I don't have to. And you see here some tournament-only plays. I'm actually looking at... Let's go back to the running back. So let's start plugging some of these top guys in, right? And I think it's going to be hard to get all three of these. Remember, I'm going to reserve one spot in case I need to put... Actually, I'm going to put David Johnson in the third spot for now. I want to talk about one player, though, that I really like. Sneaky like. All right. This is going to seem crazy. But if Dalvin Cook is out, 5,100 for my man Latavius Murray. You heard it here. That's only if Dalvin Cook doesn't play, guys. But I can't trust it until I know for a fact that Cook is out. But I just want you to see how nice this lineup looks with a $5,100 player here. Last time he started, he did get some targets. It was not a great game. Here it was. It was against Buffalo, right? Only got 2 rushing attempts. Got a bunch of targets, though. And he only got 2 rushing attempts because the game flow went crazy in that game and they didn't get a chance to run it. But look at these targets. This interests me. So I'm just saying, the last time he played without Cook, they threw him the football. Now, then there was another game against Iran, and it could just be that the Vikings running game sucks, though. So, buyer beware. But for 5,100, I'm okay with it. I'm not going to do it yet, though. I really want to... I want to leave him in because this lineup will look great with a $5,100 player here. But I'm not going to do that just yet, but keep that in mind. So let's throw David Johnson in there. We're going to go very cashy. We're going to look at defense. I'm jumping around because I want to do the defense first. I always plug in a defense early. I want to be able to visualize how much I have left for certain positions. So I don't want to get to my wide receivers until I see how much I have left and if I have to make adjustments. All right, so I've got the Titans as my core cheapest defense on the board. They're playing the Bills. They're the cheapest. This is a no-brainer. If you want to get silly or freaky, for a little bit more, you have the Bengals, the Broncos, Ravens, even the Jets. But I'm just going to go with the cheapest viable. That's what I like to do in cash. I like the Titans. They're the most expensive. One of the cool things I've learned is DraftKings salary algorithm is much more actionable than the Fanduel one. It moves quicker and it adjusts to matchups better. And DraftKings has Titans as the most expensive. When that happens and the player is cheaper on Fanduel, you always want to do it. DraftKings is telling you the correct price, and FanDuel is giving you a bargain. I love clipping those coupons. So that's how I roll. All right, tight end position. There's 2 guys I really like this week. You'll see them on the player pick sheet. Let's get to the tight end position. 3 guys, really. You've got Zach Ertz if you want to spend up, Jared Cook if you want to spend down, and Vance McDonald if you really want to pay nothing. Now, this lineup has Ben Roethlisberger in it, so we might as well plug in Vance McDonald, Vinnie Mac, because we're kind of building a cash game approach here. And if you look at this lineup, again, a cash game approach, I'm paying for the best projected quarterback on the board. I've got 3 of the best running backs on the board, all 3 of which are relatively guaranteed touches. Look at his touches. Even though he hasn't been putting up numbers, I do think they can potentially turn it around. But 22 rushing attempts, 4 targets. The numbers are going up. Still a little scary here. This is the guy I might drop for Lats. I'm going to show you a Lats Murray version of this right after. I know I don't want to talk too much about Lats. Everybody's going to jump on him, and that's a big mistake. He's super risky. But I want to see it. But outside of that, there's a couple of other running backs. I'm going to just jump back over here because you're seeing 5,900. It's a little spendy. Not that much left for the wide receiver position. So I want to look at some other alternatives. All right, so if I take out, because I love these two, I'm not messing with them unless I have to. So let's look at some other running backs that are going to be talked about this week. Let's go back to the Geeks picks real quick. Running back position. Mixon, Yeldon, Marshawn Lynch, Aaron Jones, Deion Lewis, Ty Montgomery. Not a whole lot going on here. I mean, I could consider Marshawn Lynch maybe because I like that game. I think it's going to play. I think it's going to play as high scoring. I don't think the Chargers are going to blow these guys out of the water, but Lynch doing pretty good things. 20 rushing attempts, 19, 18. You know, he was supposed to be this guy who didn't get targets or didn't get a ton of volume, but under Gruden, he's been getting a lot of volume, except for this game where they were blown out by the Rams. And even then, you know, he's always coming in on the end zone, in the red zone. So I like Marshawn Lynch. Let's plug him in instead. And I know it says GPP, but let's take a look at the research station, get some backup here. I always look at the research station, and let's see what it says about Marshawn Lynch. 3.4, not great. 3.4. Let's see why. Let's get over here. Let's learn why. Okay, opposing fantasy points allowed, 16 most. So right in the middle for the Chargers, giving up 20 points a game to running backs. That's fine by me. Okay. Here's our yards measure, and this is probably why he's coming up not as great. But Marshawn Lynch is not a yards machine. But what he is getting is a lot of attempts inside the 20 and around the goal line, I would imagine. Let's see red zone rushing numbers for Marshawn Lynch. Okay, 13 attempts, one of the higher numbers, you know, kind of beaten only by a few guys. 65% of the time his team goes to him. 7 attempts, and 78% of the time his team is using him rushing inside the 10-yard line, inside the 5-yard line, 63. So this is the guy who's generally coming in for the short yardage work. I don't use this a ton, but I use the rating and I use the game logs and I try to mix it all up. So we left him in there for now. Now let's look at wide receivers. Now there's a few different things we do for the wide receiver position. Again, we start here. Love the Steelers guys. Thielen with Cousins, Diggs with Cousins, great stuff. Julio in the blow-up game. But if you looked at our lineup, there's no way we're affording a top dollar wide receiver in this particular lineup the way it's built. So we have to start to look at who can we get for cheap to fill out this lineup. All right, the first guy that stands out is Jordy Nelson. Couple of massive games, good connection with Carr, one of the big projected games of the week. But I want to show you our wide receiver cornerback chart because this is where this comes into play. All right. One of the cool things we have going on here is you can look at who the wide receiver is probably going to match up with. And we do a special highlight so you understand which wide receiver is likely to get shadow coverage by a stud cornerback. So I'm looking at it. And I love this measure, guys, because when you see this, you learn that the secondary guy, if Xavier Howard, a super stud corner is going to be on AJ Green. I want Tyler Boyd. I want the backup, the WR2, because the WR1 is going to be covered. Okay, so I look at situations like that. So Tyler Boyd stands out. With Funchess, only Christian McCaffrey really stands out. They don't have a WR2 that I'm familiar with over there that gets any targets. For Adams, going to be covered by Darius Slay. That's not a good situation for Adams, and it would push targets to whoever else plays. Like if Geronimo Allison happens to play, which doesn't look like he will, it might push targets there, or we don't know we don't know what's going on with the Packers right now. So let's not even get too crazy. So those are our three. Is it just those three? Those are our three shadow corner situations. If you're not looking at this, some of the numbers I like to look at are passer rating allowed by this corner. And you get an idea of who's pretty good. Sometimes it's just because they're covering like really bad wide receivers and stuff like that. So you can look at this number and say Joe Hayden, for example. This guy is shutting people down, and it looks here like he will be on Calvin Ridley. So that's a warning for me. He's shutting people down. He's a 77 cover rating, which is very high. Very high cover rating. He's allowing 55 points. So when you see these numbers in red, 77 is super high. But even guys like this, all right, EJ Gaines, he's pretty good. Taking on Crabtree, we don't want him. I got Eli Apple on Torrey Smith. Torrey Smith sucks anyway. He ain't catching any passes. But Webb on Jarius Wright. Guy sucks anyway. Here's another good corner, Antonio Callaway, so let's stay away from that. All the Baltimore corners are pretty good. Jimmy Smith just came back. This is a reason to stay away, to be wary of the Cleveland passing game completely. Jimmy Smith is back. This guy Humphrey's been really good. Now, it shows Young on Landry, and maybe that means Landry will get a ton of targets, but when two of the corners are really good on a team, that's not a great sign. And even this Young guy is pretty good. Got a pretty reasonably high 20.1, but basically this rating means he's a very good corner too. We want bad corners have green numbers, positive numbers. All right. Tremaine Johnson out for the Jets, I believe. All right, so we learned a little bit. We learned that Tyler Boyd is going to be the preferred target potentially for, on the Bengals. We got nothing here, and if Geronimo Allison plays, fingers crossed, he'd be a good play on the Packers. All right, let's get back over to our building of a lineup. Geeks pick sheets. We got some cheap players. We said, oh, another one. Wait, where is that? Get back to that. Where's my boy? Looking for Amari Cooper, because Cooper is known to be owned by Casey Hayward. So, oh, there he is. Okay, here we go. Here's a couple of other ones. All right, yeah, I should have scrolled down further. Here we go. 3 other situations that just popped up I didn't see. Amari Cooper, Casey Hayward. Casey Hayward's going to shadow Cooper. He's owned him throughout his career. He's got a reasonably high number. Not having an elite year to the point where we have to be fully afraid of Casey Hayward, but he has done well against Cooper in the past. And his rating is pretty good, even though he's allowing a very high passer rating. So if Cooper is covered, extra passes towards Jordy Nelson potentially. On the Eagles, Xavier Rhodes shadowing Jeffrey, which opens things up for Nelson Aguilar. And of course, on the Titans, Tre'Davious White, who's very, very good, going to be covering Corey Davis. That will open things up for Taywan Taylor. So keep those names in mind. Now, back to our lineup. Super cheap guy we could fit in for $5,600 at wide receiver, Jordy Nelson. Now, let's take a look at his history to see if this is a guy that we want to trust in any sort of a cash situation. Let's see, 8 targets, 5 and 6 the last 2 weeks, 4 and 4 the first 2 weeks. So a little scary. Hope he doesn't go back to 4. Don't want to see 4. Didn't do a whole lot of yardage with the 8 targets last week, but got the touchdown, put up an acceptable number for $5,600. So since I need the salary, I'm going to plug him in for now. Aguilar, good spot, but hasn't been doing a whole lot. We said with Jeffrey being covered, the difference with Aguilar is he's been just dropping passes and just mentally not playing well. Hasn't done a whole lot all season except for the one game. I don't trust him in cash, even with Alshon Jeffrey being covered, because they could just go to Ertz. Rolling Kenny G. Yeah. I like Kenny Golladay. Let's take a look at his game logs. Cheap guy. Tough week last week at Dallas, but still did something with it. Been getting, 7, 8, 9, 6, 7 receptions every game except for last week. For cheap, I don't mind that. Let's see who else. I like Tyler Boyd. I've got 600 left. Okay, choices. I can go back to Joe Mixon if I want. A little scary with the coach speak, but it's a possibility. I can go back to Lynch. I like the Joe Mixon lineup. I really do. I kind of like this lineup. I still like Mixon. He's a tournament play for me, or a GPP, but this is kind of a GPP contest, so check this out. I just want to give a little process of how I'm going through this stuff. All right, so boom, enter the lineup, right? Now I've just made one. Kevin, you showed us how to make a lineup. Awesome. Wait, that's not my process, guys. That's just the beginning. All right, so I just did one. I know I basically like this core group. We're not letting this go too long. Yeah, I know I like this core group. So let's take a look and make some swaps. Let's go back to Lynch. Okay, now I have 600 left. Maybe I'm not super confident in a Jordy Nelson at that salary level. Let's see who else we can get in here. Am I liking it? Am I liking it? Not so much. All right, so where can I save? What if I did? I know. Uh-oh. If I did Lats Murray, then what happened? Get to wide receiver. Now, I've got Ben in this lineup. I'd really love to be able to pair him up with one of his stud wide receivers. Let's see if we can make that happen. And if we put Antonio Brown in, we don't have enough. Even with Lats Murray, even with Vance McDonald, even with him, because we're paying up for these guys. Right? I do love Boyd, but all right. So what do we have to do? Well, what if we take a chance going down to David Johnson? Now we got Brown in there. Now I could put in, who do I need? I want to get to I'd like to get to Golladay again. That I need 300 more to make that work. Not working for me. Have to go to Melvin Gordon. Made it work. Now we got Boyd. We got Golladay. 2 high-scoring games. Boyd. Targets being pushed his way. Ben, Brown, Vance. Murray. Very scary. Don't play him. Unless Cook is out. Cook is out, I'm okay with it at this salary. Even though the Vikings running game is not doing a lot this year so far. But I don't give a fuck. I'm going back to it. No one's going to be on this guy. Anyway, Ben Roethlisberger, boom. Got a second lineup done. That's how we do them. Duplicate entry. All right, now I went to Ben. Let's switch it around again. Take this guy out. Go back to Gurley. Right? Now we're going to pay down a little bit at QB. So let's go to Captain Kirk. Right? Instead of Antonio Brown, let's pair him up with Adam Thielen. Oh, shit. Look how much is left. Don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. Guys, I'm going to change these fucking lineups anyway, so I don't give a shit. But look how nicely that fit together. That's what I'm talking. We're Tetrising together lineups. Every time you make one. Now, let's say this is the $9 contest. The $5, the $3. You make one, duplicate it. Pull a couple guys out, make some switches. All right, I don't want too much exposure to this guy. How about let's get Jared Cook in a lineup. Tough to pay up for Jared Cook. Tough to pay up for Jared Cook when Vance McDonald's so cheap, but everybody's going to be on McDonald. So this is a little more tournament-y, right? Jared Cook. If I'm going to use Cook, let's go Nelson. Let's go David Carr. Pair them up. Get their quarterback in there. Okay? What do we got left? 6400? I can work with that. Oh, wait. I can't leave him in there. Hold on a second. Can't leave him in there. All right, so we've got that going. let's once again try to find a little spot for some more salary. Let's see what the wide receiver again position. Let's go back to Geek's picks. Wide receivers, who's cheap? Marvin Jones, Tyler Boyd, Mike Williams, Kenny Galladay, Geronimo Allison. Well, we've Taiwan Taylor. Oh, you want to take that chance? Not a big not trying to go that risky here. But once again, let's go down to Christian McCaffrey. Maybe I've got too much exposure to Gordon, right? So let's go to Christian McCaffrey. Let's go back to let's see, where are we? Running wide receivers. Do I have Boyd in here? No, let's get Boyd back in there. I love Boyd. Boyd every week. He's been crushing it for me. Why would I change? Why would I switch it up? I love that dude. He's been crushing every week. Like I'm riding the train. You don't want Murray? Put Deion Lewis in there. How do I get up to better salary? It's still not working. If I don't like the guy, what I end up doing is just changing around some of the other players. All right, let's go to Marshawn Lynch. Leave me 7,400 in the flex. Who can I do? What can I do with 7,400? Can I get Diggs in there? Because I like Diggs and Thielen together. Let's see if we could put Diggs in there. Get Diggs and Thielen in the same lineup. This is super tournament, right? That's a tournament play. You got Cook in there. Got to put Cousins. No, I can't do this. All right, hold on. Take Thielen out. Take Diggs out. You got Nelson, Carr, Cook. That's a triple stack of Oakland. So I don't want too many players from one team. Let's go to Juju Schuster instead. Let's see how that works. Give me a better running back. Go back again. Let's put Melvin Gordon, my favorite guy, in there. We've got 2 spots left. Oh my gosh. Flex play. I'm going to go back to Marshawn Lynch. Basically, my feeling is if Carr is doing well, see, a lot of times a running back like Lynch wouldn't coordinate with a quarterback like Derek Carr, but I feel like Lynch will be involved if the Raiders are in the game. If they fall out of it, Lynch will be game flowed out. So if the Raiders are in the game, that means Derek Carr is probably doing well. That's where all of this works. Now what's left? 5,300? Not enough to do anything very good. So we've got to make another adjustment at wide receiver. Can't play that stud. Let's go back to some of our old reliables. I've got Boyd in there, not yet. Let's get him in there. How much we have left? 7K. All right, what can we do with 7,000? Can't do a whole lot that I like. At wide receiver, see, this is what I'm doing. If it's not working, I don't try to jam some turd in. No. Then we make a change. All right, that didn't work. Let's go to David Johnson. Again, hope that he does well. Right? That leaves me 8,100. Get me back to... Now, I really like this game stack scenario with Keenan Allen. Now you've got Raiders, Chargers, all in the same lineup. Nice game stack going. I'm going to use it. Boom. That's it. All right, guys, that's how I do it. I'm going to duplicate it again, blah, 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 over and over and over again. Use the wide receiver cornerback chart. Use the NFL research station. You can use the domination station optimizer. Hey, I was just making lineups for MMA. But here's the Geeks pick sheet, bolded players. It's not that hard. Make a bunch of lineups when you're entering a tournament with a lot of entries like this. If this is a cash game, we want to get down and dirty and try to figure out the best possible play, single lineup approach. But for tournaments, we're going to mix it up, stack your quarterback with your wide receivers, sometimes do a game stack where we bring it back around like we did here with Keenan Allen, build lineups that correlate with one another, and cross your fingers. Good luck this week, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video.